Chris Mackowski of Emerging Civil War, and I am at the westwardmost engagement of the entire war. It took place on April 15th, 1862, at a place called Picacho Pass, or Picacho Peak. And the peak is actually off to my left. There's this really cool mountain range here, and I'll put some B-roll up here in a second to let you see it. But the reason that the war comes here is the Confederates are really looking to extend their range out to the Pacific. So this ties into Sibley's New Mexico campaign. As that's going on, there's actually about 150 Confederates, the Arizona Rangers, who come into Tucson, which is about 50 miles off to my left. As they do, they're trying to establish a base that they can then use to agitate in Southern California and extend that Confederate influence. Well, a California column is going to come from California to challenge the presence of the Confederates here in Arizona. There are going to be about 2,000 of them. They're under Colonel James Carleton, and his job is to come in and basically sweep into Tucson and drive the Confederates out. But as he's coming through this area, his lead element, he's got about 12 guys plus a scout under James Barrett, and they're going to try to sneak in and flush the Confederates out against orders. Carleton knows that overwhelming force is what's going to drive these Confederates out. But Barrett comes in, and as he sweeps into this area, he's actually going to find himself caught in an ambush. Now, the fight doesn't actually happen on the mountains. That's Picacho Peak there. And then behind me, you can see the Picacho Mountains. And the pass that comes between them is an important transportation route that connects Tucson off to my left up with Phoenix, that's just off to my right. There's also an east-west route that comes through here that connects California with the rest of the country, and follows the Gila River through here. So this is really kind of an important junction of those two areas, why the Confederates have kind of come up here as an outpost. And so as Carleton is coming from that direction, moving south toward Tucson, he actually is going to send the detachment behind the mountains behind us, and it's going to come out down here. Against orders, he's going to charge into that Confederate outpost, and that's going to start the fighting kind of off to my left. It's going to move its way up into this area and finally end it after about 90 minutes with 3 casualties on the federal side, including Barrett himself. But they'll also take about 3 Confederate captives. The Confederate captive who's in charge of this, Sherrod Hunter, is going to lose 3 men who are taken captive. He's going to have a couple of guys who are wounded. At least that's what the Federals will say, although he'll say that he's not having any casualties. So contested memory out here in Arizona. But it is going to be enough to disrupt the Confederate presence here, coupled with the defeat of Sibley's movement up through New Mexico. Almost said New Hampshire. These are not the White Mountains. Coupled with Sibley's repulse there, it really is going to kind of bring to an end any attempts for the Confederates to have some dominance here in the Southwest and extend their connection over to the Pacific Ocean. So small engagement, not a lot of guys wounded, although percentage of casualties pretty high for what it is, but it does have some pretty important strategic ramifications for the overall war. And the Confederate attention will shift back to the Trans-Mississippi, the West and the East for the rest of the war, and bring to an end those dreams of transcontinental dominance. It's a wicked cool alien landscape to be out here, well worth exploring. A beautiful state park. Get yourself a pass. You can hike the trails. You can go up onto the top of the peak. They've got a nature trail, stuff to see for kids, a little memorial trail around this area, including a monument, a howitzer. They do a reenactment here every year that not only does Picacho Peak, but also Glorieta Pass. So it really kind of is a celebration or a commemoration of all the action that took place in the New Mexico campaign. The Confederates who were killed during the battle, 3 of them were disinterred and taken to the Presidio, where they were reburied, but they couldn't find Barrett's body, and he's actually somewhere anonymously down by the modern-day railroad track. That's why we talk about these battlefields as being hallowed ground, because there are guys that are still out here. And so the monument that's out here is kind of the only commemoration that Barrett has for his actions. For Emerging Civil War, I'm Chris Mackowski. We'll see you online and on the battlefield.